Okay, should be live.
Hey, hi everyone. I thank you for joining me for another sculpting session with Kodo, the Paladin. We're making some progress. There was a discussion off camera from my son and I. We were going through this and we were saying how many hours did I think I was going to be involved with this particular guy. And it turns out it probably will be a pretty significant amount. So I'm thinking that maybe some of the sculpting I will do off camera, but not if you guys really object. So you'll have to decide as we go along. We'll ask you again as time progresses here, and we'll just see what your preferences are.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day out there to everyone who's
Yeah.
a mother. It's a very special day on a breezy, windy, potentially rainy day. So I hope you guys are having a good time. Yeah, we're getting some of our fans in here also. So we got, looks like Cameron's in here on Resin Hana. We got Animal G, and we got Poison Ivy Pika. And a few other people look like they're watching as well. So hello and welcome to all of you.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. Hey, you know what I'm going to do?
What's that?
I am going to give away this little guy when we reach 50 followers.
Oh, nice.
And whoever's in the chat room, when we reach 50 followers, we're going to take all your names down, and then we'll put them in a hat, and we will draw, and we will send you this little guy.
Nice. Do him a little spin around so we can see all the sides of him there.
His name is Smidge, and he is painted with an iridescent metallic paint. And normally I sell him for $25. He is available on my website for $25. So if you don't win, there's always that. But invite your friends.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
As soon as I reach 50 followers.
So Poison Ivy Pika says, "Oh, that's cute." So part of the reason why he's looking for those 50 followers is because that's the point where we can start doing the video on demand stuff where it actually stores it. It's also one of the milestones to get to the point where you guys can, actually contribute some bits to us and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking to do those things, we can't do those until that happens. So gotta get the word of mouth out there, make sure people know about it. So be sharing the information if you can, and obviously enjoy what we're doing here. So speaking of that,
Yeah.
looks like you got some work ahead of you here.
Yeah. I went back just before the show started here today, and I wasn't satisfied with his stance because he was too upright. So what I did is I chopped into the clay and I bent his knees, and I think I'm more satisfied now with his stance and more in agreement with Levi's drawing. And still need to put on a little bit of weight here for him, but a lot of that will be mass that will be added as we do the armor. But right now, all I'm trying to do is just make sure that the shape is correct, that I'm satisfied with the shape, and then we'll move on to the detail. So this stage it can be a little frustrating. I know a lot of artists who really like this stage. In fact, that's all they like is doing this part. And then once they get that done, then it's like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. But I'm just the opposite. I like the detail when it starts coming to life. And I can answer questions as we go along. You notice I have a couple of links, Amazon links down below that takes you to where you can buy some of this clay. This clay is reusable. It's some of the best. I mean, as far as, if you're not sure where you want to go and you just want to learn, that's another way of doing it too. But if you're not sure where you want to head with your sculpture, this clay it doesn't dry out. It doesn't It doesn't cure to a solid rock, and it's reusable. So once you're done with this guy and you make a mold of him, then you can move on to another one, just by melting him down. In fact, just before we started this, I put this one in the microwave. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of liquidy. So in that being said, this clay would almost, I would wager that it would work for a lost wax casting method if you wanted to make a bronze.
Wow, that is really liquidy.
Yeah, it is.
Sloshing away in there.
But it has to be warm to work. I mean, when I started this guy, he was rock solid.
Now, how much time did you spend in the microwave to make it that liquidy there?
Well, I'd actually put it in twice, and that's where I overdid it a little bit. But that's 2 minutes is usually what works well.
Now, how long does it stay warm?
It'll probably, won't have to heat it, I don't think, again. Not now, anyway. It'll stay warm and workable and malleable all the way through this session.
Nice. So for those of you who may be new to the channel, the image on the left there on the screen is the original concept art, and that is made by our DM, Levi, and that is the character Kodo, the paladin from our Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game.
That's TT2KB channel.
That's tabletop to keyboard. So you can see what he's going for over there, and it's amazingly coming to life already.
I like to get the major muscle groups into the body structure so that I know what I'm kind of working with. And then over the top of that will go the detail of the armor, and the armor will be done with a spaghetti. I think I showed you this last week, but it's just a regular old crank.
Go ahead and lift it up a little bit. There you go.
You put your clay in there and you just crank it, and it comes out as a sheet. And you can adjust the size and thickness of your clay. This one has been with me for a while. Looks like it needs to be cleaned a little bit.
Nice. And some of the other things maybe you want to point out there is the tools you're using. I just saw earlier you had something that looked kind of like a little rake or something.
This is just a regular clay tool that you can get from any pottery station, any pottery store, or from Amazon. I will have links for these guys too. I don't yet, but I will have links for them down below. There's a finer one of these. This was done with I think guitar wire. So it's wrapped wire, and so it'll have a really fine effect. But we won't use this guy until later on. Most of it will be done with this guy right here, and there's little teeth on it, so it breaks, and you want that because if you don't have the teeth on it, you get really weird buildup of pressure on the clay, and it'll create valleys and peaks in it, and you don't want that. Okay, I think I brought his horn back. Now you were telling me, Jeff, that this guy actually has 3 horns.
Well, I was told that the character is kind of modeled off of a blue dragon, and I found a image that has it in profile here. So last week we were trying to figure out what number of horns he had and how they were configured, and we took a wild guess at it because we're looking at it from the front. But now I found this image that you're seeing on the screen right now. Hey, Air Laser, thanks for the host. Right back at you there, Poison Ivy Pika as well for the host. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that image gives us a lot clearer sense of what that shape is. So it looks like a lead horn, kind of like a rhino, and then a little nub of one right behind it.
So yeah, I'll probably have to scrape him down a little bit then. And his back skull here is going to need some work. Mm-hmm. And then I was asking Jeff just before this all started. It was, you know, it almost looks like he needs to have a tail for some balance. And then Jeff said, "Oh no." So we won't do that, I guess.
Yep. Technically, according to D&D and the books, Dragonborn do not have tails, so that's a no-tail situation.
Well, you know, if I was designing the character, but I'm not designing, I'm just sculpting him, so there you go. Now, you know, I'm probably everything like this is a little different. You know, I'm not a perfect artist here. What I mean by that is, you know, I'm still count myself kind of amateurish. You know, everybody has fabbles about the imposter syndrome and all the rest of it. I guess maybe I suffer from a little bit of that. But here's the thing, you know, I know from just analyzing my own skill level in past jobs that I don't always match exactly what I think should happen, or even what somebody else thinks I should happen. So I you know, this one I'm just going to have some fun with it, and it's I'm doing this more for enjoyment, just for the pure joy of being able to sculpt something and the challenge. So if it doesn't come quite the way you think it should, yeah, well, I'll get something close, and I'll have fun doing it. That makes sense.
Absolutely. So I'm checking in again with new people that just popped in and out to see what the quality of the stream looks like. I'm still seeing that I'm dropping frames, and our connection keeps like dipping a little bit here and there, so I want to make sure it's not like stop motion for you or anything like that, or, you know, toggling down into low resolution, or audio isn't screwed up or something. It looks like it's doing all right. So what is it you're doing now? You're just kind of carving out the shape of his collarbones?
Yeah, I want him to have, I mean, you know, you have this, you know, sometimes you have to use yourself as anatomy, but you have this muscle right there. I want that muscle to be prominent. Then I want his collarbone to be prominent too. That part, let's see, will that show? Yeah, a little bit, yes. And it'll affect the way that the armor goes on too.
Right on.
Yeah, let's see, I need the ball tool. I like these tools right here. I also like the soft tip. Those are really important, especially when it's warm. But right now he is so solid after setting a week that you have to really get in there and smash it down.
So how do you deal with that? I mean, what do you do once it's been solidified? Do you just work with it until it's pliable, or?
Yeah, you know, warm up with your hand touch and with working, and it'll become more pliable as you go.
I guess in some ways that's pretty advantageous, because the center will stay solid, but the outside is malleable.
Yeah, in fact that really helps in some ways to get where you're going.
That's cool.
And I see that I got his jaw different on either side, so I'm gonna have to correct that in some way.
Symmetry, the bane of all artists, I imagine.
Yeah.
how much symmetry do you look for when you're working on this? Do you go for like that mirror image, or do you go with some like slight deviation to make it look natural, or?
Even though our brain is wired to think in terms of symmetry being beautiful, and when we look for a mate or something like a creature that we think is just in the wild, we look for symmetry there too. And part of that, evolution has programmed into us over the course of years to do this. But none of us are perfect. Even the most beautiful of us are not perfect. And if we make it, I think this is one of the reasons why when you're doing sculpture in a computer, say on Maya or ZBrush or some of the other, like Modo. I like Modo. But when you're doing that, it is very tempting just to turn on the mirror tool and the other side is already done for you by just sculpting one side. Very handy, but it creates a creature that's just a little too perfect. And our eye picks up on this, and something in our brain says, that's not quite, I don't know, something's bothering me. So,
it's an uncanny valley thing, I guess.
Yeah. So I think a little bit of asymmetry is something that you have to kind of accept and do even. But you don't want him to look totally lopsided. There he goes. Any comments on that? Any thoughts out there? Anybody disagree? Can we have a little bit of controversy?
Yeah, we'll see. Good old delay always catches up to us here.
Yeah.
So Air Laser wants to know, what's the process after the clay sculpting?
Well, it depends. I mean, do you want to replicate? If it's replication, then we have to make a mold. And to do a mold, we have to decide how we're going to score that mold. So this guy would have to be a two-part mold. And in actual fact, because of the way these legs are bending, I think that chopping both legs off, and I've thought about this over the course of the week here, but chopping both legs off and casting them separately so that you could have a two-part mold, one half here and one half here, encasing it. Do I have any molds up here?
So I guess that would be easier than going front to back because of the bend there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a couple little molds, but...
those are all one parts, I think.
Yeah. You want me to go down to the garage and grab something?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Just sure. Grab something off that shelf down there. I should have brought it up. But you have to, now, once you have the legs and the arms chopped off, I think we'll leave his head on, and I think we'll get away with that. And we could do a two-part mold where you pour half of the silicone while the other half is blocked off. Or you might even pour all of the silicone, and then you could cut the silicone open and peel him off. That might be a workable way, and it's probably a little faster. So once that's done, then you can use that mold to pour a resin cast, and that is what, like this guy right here was done with a resin cast. He's resin. So yeah, okay, this guy This is a little unique. This is a cut mold, and this is the outer shell that retains the overall shape of it and doesn't allow it to stray too far. But then if you look inside, I've cut this, poured it like this, all solid. So, for instance, the little image of the guy was inside here. I glued this down to a board.
It's out of camera, looks like there. Oh. Hey, Plague State, thanks for the follow. Much appreciated.
And then I poured the silicone. Am I in camera?
You are now, yeah.
Okay. I poured the silicone in over the top of the little guy. And then once it was done, I took off this part. Like off. And this was all solid. And so I have a little special mod to my X-Acto over here. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. And I'll do this and I'll cut. You can see the groove.
You're gonna have to lift the silicone part up.
Okay.
There you go.
I cut right there, and that creates a little groove all the way down. There's a piece of resin that's still stuck in there. And so I cut all the way down to where I could get the guy out. And there's what he looks like on the inside. Now this is a little turtle, the small god Ohm. I'm a big fan of Terry Pratchett, and I think I have one over here.
Got a couple things here. Plague State says they dig the new overlay setup, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
And then Airlaser was wondering if we were planning to stream the casting process.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you've got an interest, we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll have to cart the computer down there somehow and figure that all out.
I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but yeah, we'll definitely try.
Logistical struggles, that's what we're going to do.
So he sets in there like, well, all the way in, but you get the idea. And then you pour the resin right into here, fill it all the way up, and this is what you get when you pull him out. What do you think?
There you go, now he's in the shot pretty well. It's a little out of focus. There you go, perfect.
The small god Ohm. He's devoid of eyes right now because I add those later. I would have added them as I pour the resin, but getting to his eyes and putting glass eyes in there, pretty damn difficult. So this one is being retired. I have to make a new one. And once you get it into the mother mold here, you can see that seam almost goes away. In fact, inside here, you can't even see that seam. And on the guy when he's cast, see how you can't even see that seam. So that's how that is done. This is the blue stuff was silicone, and the original was done. Let's see, I'm trying to remember how I did the original on this. I'm pretty sure that I did the original with Super Sculpey at the time.
Cool.
So if you're unfamiliar with, I experiment a lot with different type of materials, and Super Sculpey was one of my first go-tos. I like it. You don't have to wear gloves or anything. It's like this stuff here. And it doesn't cure until it gets into the oven. And you can actually, be satisfied with once you do it with that, you can say, well, okay, I've got something that I don't need to go ahead and cast anything if you want. I mean, but if you want to cast, you can also do that. Now, one of the things though that I've noticed with Super Sculpey is that casting process, making the silicone mold, can be pretty violent to your original.
Yeah.
So you're not bad until you try to get him out that first time. And once you try to get him out of that mold the first time, once you're trying to pull, a lot of times what happens is that you end up breaking, and that's just part of it. You'll be okay because you broke your original, but you now have a mold. So,
well, I guess that's why there's that saying, right?
What's the saying, Bob?
When they're saying when they made you, or they broke the mold when they made you, kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's on the other end. Or once you get through with that mold, you break it. You throw away the mold so that there's no more made. On limited edition runs, which I do have some limited edition runs. Shard on my website. I'm going to do just 100. I only have about I think 10 left. Maybe not even that.
Wow.
Out of 100.
That's pretty incredible.
And once he's done, that's no more for him. He's done. And one of the reasons why I do that is so that, you have a hand-painted original replica. And it's a rare one. And not everybody has it. So you can have something that's, pretty unique and pretty much yours. And maybe we'll collect some value. I don't know. That's just speculating. Every once in a while, an artist gets lucky.
Yeah, that's true. So obviously the image here, we don't have it back to the characters, so curious what you're going to do with all that. Is it just going to be flat and just like, yep, script?
I will do some kind of armor to him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks like he probably has something mirror imaging the front. Probably should be on the back as well. But a lot of interpretation there. I mean, I don't have anything to go on because I only have the front to look at. So now I have to come up with something. That's part of the fun of it.
Plague State says, plot twist, Kodo only wears half plate. The back is just it's open skin on the back.
He never retreats.
Always forward.
Wait, no, where did I come up with? I think there was a...
Never give up, never surrender.
Seemed like there was a... maybe that was Klingons or something, I don't know.
No, that's from Galaxy Quest.
Oh, that's from Galaxy Quest. Okay, I knew I was trying to think of where I heard that at.
Yeah, it's Alan Rickman.
Oh, yeah.
Playing his, character is essentially like a Vulcan Klingon character, I guess. Some kind of mix.
Yeah.
Something about, Bayak Mars Hammer.
Yeah.
Some nonsense. God, that movie was good.
Yeah, it was. I know a lot of Trekkies who got disturbed by it, but I actually liked it. I liked the humor of it, and
I thought that was great. I also like that the closed captioning took the word Trekkie and wrote turkey. And the closed captioning apparently picks up ha 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 pretty well.
Oh my goodness.
It actually spelled it out. Can't see it now, it's off the screen, but... Which hopefully the closed captioning is going pretty well too. I know some people that are watchers of our shows are, hard of hearing, and hopefully that helps out, make us a little bit more accessible. And for those of you who are kind of walking around with you in the pocket, maybe on a cell phone or something, but don't have your earbuds in, hopefully that helps.
Somehow I wounded myself.
Oh wow, you're still pretty good apparently.
I didn't feel it. And it's been some time ago.
Huh.
Just a little prick.
Huh. Well, art is dangerous apparently, folks.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that. Just happened to look down and seen, oh goodness, I'm bleeding.
So on your right arm?
On my left.
You don't have one of your tools over there, do you?
No, I don't know how I did that.
Plague State says Akoto just crit the artist. I believe it. I would believe it.
Hopefully we're going to get to some kind of detail today. I want to get to the point where we can put some armor on him, because that's going to be the fun part.
Yeah, I think that will be really cool. Or start working on the scaling, or...
Yeah, something. But I've got to get to a point where I'm halfway satisfied with the shape, because if you're not, man, you can't correct it after you got the armor on.
That's for sure. Well, the good thing with all the armor is you don't have to put a ton of detail at this point on most of his body, right?
No, I mean all of the chest area, the shoulders, all of that is pretty much out of the scene. And this is the best way to do it, is just let your mind wander as you're doing this. Whatever catches your eye, make the trim at that point. I think his face is getting pretty well defined there. I'm pretty close, I think. What does the rest of you think?
Well, somebody thought well enough to follow, so Bloody Vampires just followed, so thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much.
I think that puts us at 20.
And
actually, I think that may be one of our other fans who's got a couple accounts. They're going to help push up our follower count, I guess.
Hey, yeah, because once we reach 50, I'm going to do a drawing from whoever is in the chat room at that time. And this little guy can be yours. Now we're going to do several of these giveaways. Probably every so often we'll pull something new out. Speaking about that, I wanted to show you a few things that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
This is Sliver. He is a dragon bust that I started as a demo in Dragon Con, and I got most of his eye and nostril done there at the show, a little bit of his ear. So I took him home and I finished him up. I put a lot of detail into the dragon scales, a lot of detail on the face where it was done with pushing in the clay. Very fun. I try to vary up the eyes. I also vary up the paint on each one. And this guy is available on my website. He's 165, and his name is Sliver. And he can be yours. I have a few other things as we're going along, and I'll show you in the course of time. I do miss going to the cons. It's been kind of a rough road with loss of income, because the cons provided a huge portion of income, and that is not to be, at least for a little while.
Mm-hmm. You asked for some feedback earlier. Plague State was saying that the face looks really good.
Thank you.
And some of you watching at home may notice that he's leaning a different direction than the picture. That's because I have the camera flipped horizontally, so the left side of the screen is actually on the right, and the right is on the left, just so it can balance out the images, but he does actually have the same pose as the image.
Oh yeah, I never thought about that.
Well, we're up to 22 followers right now.
Thank you very much. And it's coming along. All I need to do is get the general shape. I think he's getting there. And then we'll add armor. Well, it depends on what you want to do today. Do you want to see some of the scales go on his face, maybe? That's getting close right there. I mean, I think that just a few more corrections on it.
I think I'd like to see the armor.
The armor?
Yeah, because I think the scales and stuff would be a nice finisher.
Okay.
You know, make it really come to life at that point.
Well, I'm going to have to do some work.
Oh, I see. You have to do the scales first because you're going to lay stuff on top of it. Okay, yeah, do
Yeah.
the scales first.
I mean, it's not universal, but I mean, probably I should do these feet and then work my way up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, the feet and that neck area, I think you have to do before you put the armor on.
Oh, yeah. But then,
Yes.
you know, I mean, it'll probably go faster. So, the question is, do you want to see every blow by blow sculpt here? I mean, because some of this is going to go pretty slow. Or do you want me to work offline and finish up some things and then next weekend come back and show you what I've done and then proceed from there? How would you like to see this play out?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the audience wants. Hey, DM Chuck, thanks for the follow.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, I'm interested in that because you have essentially 5 characters to make for the campaign. So we have those 5 ones, and if each one is going to take 20 hours of time, that's 10 streams each. Like, it'll be a couple of years before we finish up at that rate. So I would think that you would need to do some downtime work, you know, to kind of progress things a little bit here and there. But you never know. Maybe people want to hear and see everything that happens, detailed, you know, moment by moment.
I'll let you direct me. So wherever you want to go with this, you tell me. And we will go.
Looks like Air Lasers just took a second to go give her mom her Mother's Day gift.
Ah.
Looks like she got a I don't want to say the name of the thing because it will talk to us, but one of those and a plug for that. So she can turn on the light in the corner easier.
As Jeff knows, our entire house, I've been very busy with getting one in every room. Amazon loves me.
Yeah, I believe it.
And they also know everything that I ever have said, ever. So, I like the fact that you can lay in bed and say, please turn on the fan, and boom, we're living in a Star Trek world. Oh, it's so awesome.
Well, we got a little bit of feedback on the question. So far, Poison Ivy, Pika, and Air Laser both said they would like to see and hear everything that happens moment to moment for the first one.
Okay.
So, buckle up. That's 10 weeks of Kodo. Oh, man.
We might, I don't know, it depends on Jeff's schedule, but we might try to do some midweek podcast. What do we call this? Twitchcast, I guess.
Streams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can do multiple days a week if you want. Try to hit daytimes or something. I mean, for a lot of people right now, the coronavirus has got us locked down to the house, and so most days may be more accessible than others. Compared to what normally would be the case. But I have to assume most people are wanting to watch these when they're not at work. Unlike apparently Plague State, who is at work watching us.
Yay!
He's just a medical professional. It doesn't matter. Right?
You need a break, man. That's all there is to it, especially if you're a medical professional. Good grief.
Let's see. Airlaser says what you could do is streams not on Sundays for the non-sculpting. And then she says, oh yeah, you had the same idea as me.
Oh, for the... Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what was going on there, but yeah.
And then she's saying, the best part of Twitch is even if no one is here, you can save the video and publish it elsewhere. So people can watch the content. So, you know, if we did do some stuff during the day, during the week, we, you know, could save it, throw it up on YouTube.
Okay.
Make that a little accessible for people after the fact. Probably won't get as many live views, but yeah, you never know. Might capture an audience I don't know is there. Now, we are also talking about doing some other formats for streams, so instead of just doing Twitch, since he has a pretty large following on Facebook, we're talking about possibly streaming on Facebook as well.
Well, yeah, we got that one scheduled. There is Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We're doing a sculpture of an owl. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do a magical owl. And I'm going to incorporate some different things into it. I'm going to do a little bit of Celtic design work on the front. In fact, I've got my little owl dummy here. He's started.
That's what that thing is.
Yeah. Do you remember what was it, Clash of the Titans? You know, and they had
yeah, the mechanical owl.
Yeah.
Remember what that thing's? Archimedes, maybe?
I can't remember. Does anybody else remember? But anyway, I'm going to do a design that involves. Yes, it's going to be an owl, but he's going to have some Celtic knotwork on it too. I can't quite explain it to you until you see it. It's going to be a little different.
Let's see, Poison Ivy Pika says, I love watching these types of streams. Keeps my mind off stuff. Plus, art is relaxing. Since my day hasn't been great so far. Since my day hasn't been so great, since I can't be around my mom, haven't been able to be around her since March 6th on her birthday. So thank you for the mind distractions. Means a lot, truly, plus your art is amazing.
Thank you very much. And that's, I feel for you.
Resin Hana says that the owl's name in that movie was Bubo.
Bubo, yeah,
Is that
okay,
right?
yeah, I think that is right. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed Bubo. I don't even remember that being the name.
Yeah. Ray Harryhausen. Fantastic. Stop motion animator, sculptor. Mm-hmm. Met him once, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Where'd you run into him?
St. Louis. Archon.
Huh.
In... Wow. 90s sometime.
Oh, that's why I thought it was Archimedes. Resonana says Archimedes was from Sword in the Stone.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay, now, at the risk of melting my face, guy's face, I'm going to fire up a little torch.
Oh, we got a blowtorch in here? Huh. Hey, the lollygaggers, thanks for the follow. Wow, that is a serious torch you got there. That's not going to damage the eyes at all?
No. I'm not staying that long on it. I'm just kind of going over it. You can see it. It begins to smooth it right away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I dare do any more. But now I'm gonna let that cool down a little bit before I can actually work it. Let's just see now. Now see, this is where my soft tip will come in handy. Except that the soft tip, sometimes they'd make these a little bit too soft. I have a bigger one. This is tougher.
Wow,
Yeah,
that is massive. So what is that tool doing for you?
It's just it's like a finger that I can get in there where I can't get my other fingers, you know, because they're too fat.
Do you get much like feedback from it? Do you feel through the pen?
Yeah, you know, I've always been very in tune with tools, and I mean, it doesn't matter what the tool is. It just seems like I can intuit what is happening with it.
So you feel the tactile sensation through the tool?
Yeah, it feels just as much my part of me as my fingers do.
That's interesting.
Just a different way of working, that's all. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, because we're rolling around for an hour here, I think what I'm going to do, just so that you can see some progress here, I'm going to start working on his face scales.
Very cool.
And we'll start right up front here.
I'm like half tempted to try to zoom in, but I know I have to completely undo my overlay to make that happen.
We have a third. I don't know. I was fearful that the computer wouldn't be able to keep up. But we do have a third camera. Third iPhone that's up here.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that next time. At this point, trying to swap in a camera live is going to be a little tricky.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be able to pull that one off smoothly. Poison Ivy Pika gave you a follow on Facebook as well.
Oh, thank you very much.
That'd be good. Hoping to see some more people from the Facebook crowd.
Well, as I think what you were saying before, Jeff, that it is a different group, and they don't. I mean, they've probably never even heard of Twitch, or not very familiar with it.
Yeah, I would say it's probably it. I know before we started really using Twitch for our own content, I'd never used it before. I mean, I knew it existed, but I had never really consumed it as a product.
But as I find out, a lot of the artists that I know, like Kiefer, he's on here. Mm-hmm. Nigel Sade, he's on here as well. He had a podcast today. That was kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
Him and his wife are in Italy, or at least they were in Italy. I don't know where they were broadcasting today at. But man, can you imagine?
Yeah, that's a hot spot for sure.
Yeah.
Kind of amazed people are still traveling around. Or you were saying they lived there, right?
Yeah, he was in Chicago, mm-hmm. and then he had an overseas tour, and I'm not sure that I remember just all the details, but I'm probably going to botch it. But him and his wife decided to work Europe for a while. Met Nigel years ago. Oh man, at MarkCon, I think, Columbus, Ohio.
Hey, Georgie91, thanks for the follow.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're up to 25 already.
Hey, we're gonna go. Hey, maybe I should remind everybody what I'm gonna do. We reach 50 followers. I'm going to give away this little guy. Whoever's in the chat room at the time, we'll do a drawing, and this little guy could be yours. I normally charge $25 for him. His name is Smidge. He is a little dragon that's painted with iridescent metallic green, purple, and a smattering of red oxide. So he has been a little design that I've had for quite some time. I do a bunch of little dragons. More are on the way, but I kind of like little Smidge. I hope you do too. And speaking about things, I got another little promo here. You guys who like dice boxes,
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good one.
this is Snapdragon. And yes, I did sculpt the teeth. I sculpted every part of him. I started out with a box, a wood box, and you can watch the video on YouTube. It's called How to Do Dragon Scales, and I laid the clay out and pinched the clay and pushed it down, pinched the clay and pushed it down, until I had covered the entire box and sculpted his little face here, sculpted the teeth, meshed them up, sculpted the horns, and as you can see, he has a little tail on the back. He is a fairly good size dice box, and it's lined with felt on the bottom. He's available on my website, davidleepancake.com, under the shop button. Yeah, got its tooth a little dirty there.
Georgie91 says, I still can't believe I grew up next to all of this and knew none of it. He was our neighbor to the, when we're facing our door to the right.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Small world. We actually reconnected with Georgie relatively recently. Found him online playing video games.
Oh, wow.
Like, just completely random.
Yeah, years and years of doing this. I mean, back in the 90s, I started doing, well, I started going to the shows. Let's see, when did I start? I think in 88 was my first show. And really didn't know what I was doing. Jenny Roller was the person who got me into going to sci-fi shows, and then that led later to gaming shows and Comic Cons and all the rest of it. Gen Con. She introduced me to Gen Con too. She did Little Dragons. One of his ears is broke off, but she did Little Dragons like this, and these were all original. She did not cast these, and she would take them to the shows and sell them, and she
Move
would
it to your left a little. There you go.
she would just do all kinds of things like this. And this was one that she gave to me, and then I broke his ear. I'm going to repair that soon, but
Oh yeah.
he was done out of Sculpey.
Forgot
And
about those.
yeah, and she even put her little stamp on the bottom, Jenny Roller. This is kind of cool. Anyway, she got me into it, and got me going to the cons, and that was just a world that opened up to me. And knowing now what I know, I mean, if I was to go back and do it all over again, I would have concentrated on art more seriously and probably done this sculpture earlier. But you don't function that way in real life.
True. Yeah, so we just got another follow from Canadian Wolverine. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
They say, why not? Making things is worth sharing. And looks like Poison Ivy and Plague State and Airlays are all putting the word out there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so we're getting lots of sharing going on. So
This is the guy that I'm going to give away. 50 followers. I'm going to give this guy away. So keep them coming. Thank you very much.
Yeah, got another follow from Zaylen.
Ooh.
Thanks, Zaylen. Good to see you.
Hope you enjoy the show. Can you see what I'm doing to his face now?
Yeah, it's pretty clear, I think. I wish I can zoom in a little bit, but yeah, you can see the little scaling you're putting on his beak there.
What happens if I do... Nope. Okay.
Yeah, so just keep it nice and steady there.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine, it's fine. So, yeah, thank you very much, Zaylen. I appreciate the community support there. You can definitely tell when things get tweeted out to a bunch of the Discords, because everyone comes running.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to get my 50 followers so that I can...
Yeah, so we can keep the videos.
Yeah, that's a big deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to lose all this footage.
So Canadian Wolverine says, I would love a workshop of my own in real life. I settle for virtual workshops these days due to space and cost.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy a variety of... I enjoy the computer part of it. Find it relaxing and challenging at the same time. I've done a lot of different computer work. Computer sculpting. But I still like doing it by hand. There's something really relaxing about the clay in your hand.
Yeah, so I guess in the question of workshops here, what would be your ideal workshop?
My ideal workshop?
Yeah.
I want a pole barn that's 5,000 square feet. That we lay down a foundation, solid block slab of concrete. And in the center of the pole barn, I want to build a living area. And on the outside perimeter of the pole barn, all in a horseshoe shape all the way around the living area, I want to do a studio. So I can have woodworking area, I can have clay area, casting area. That's my dream.
Yeah, Canadian Wolverine says, smart.
And then I could just drive in my van into the studio and load it up, and it would be nice. Now it's getting really tight here with just a little bitty clay balls going on to surround his nostrils. I tell you what I can do, Jeff. I don't know why I didn't think of this. Here, let's bring it forward.
Does that bring it to your left slightly?
My left. Okay, that way.
Oh no, your left.
This way.
Yep, there you go. And then down slightly. There you go. Hey, Captain Slaymore, thanks for the follow.
Thank you very much.
They say, nice sculpt. Yeah, Air Laser, I did forget to put the donate button down in the bio, didn't I? Currently, at least according to what I can see, we don't have the ability to hook things up just yet until we hit certain follower counts, view counts, and view time. But hopefully once we hit some of those objectives, we can put a little tip jar down there, so if people want to help out and donate, that would be great. And then maybe we'll just hit the goal state period, and then we can start using bits like everyone else does. Until then, we're just, I guess, we're working it. We're just putting it out there.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's appreciated. Appreciated the thought.
See, Canadian Wolverine says, that seems achievable. Barns are not expensive, other than making sure utilities are hooked up correctly.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys are looking to show some support to him, he actually does have a what's it called? Patreon. There we go.
Yeah, Patreon.
And he also has a web store, both of which I should have put down the panels, but for whatever reason we didn't. So let me look up those addresses for you, and I'll copy and put them down here for you.
Boy, it's nice having a co-pilot. I'll say that for Jeff.
I'm glad to be of use.
Frees me up to do this, and then it's also nice to chat with him and chat with you.
Yeah, I did have one job. I know, I'm sorry. So this one will get you to the web store. So let's get that linked in there. There you go. Canadian Wolverine thinks co-producers are valuable. Yeah, thank you. PlayStation says, damn it, Jeff, you had 25 jobs. Yep. Let me get the other link.
Now, some of my friends that like Kiefer, he does his whole podcast by himself. It's like I'll have to think about, but he's very competent at it. If you haven't checked it out, his is Cave Geek Art. He does pyrography, which is the burning of leather.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Hey, thanks Smart Gamer Network for the follow. Much appreciated. See, Captain Slaymore wants to know what you're working with. Is it Sculpey or real clay?
This is called Monster Clay. It is available from monstermakers.com. And also, if you look down below, I have a link to it for what you can buy on Amazon. And it's pretty reasonable. You get a bucket like this for $30, I think.
That's not quite in frame there.
Oh,
there you go.
$30.
Perfect.
And you can see that now it's warmed up. I put it in the microwave before I started. This was all liquid before, but now it's solidified. This
Now it's usable.
yeah, now it's usable. This clay is multiple uses, so you can, like, if I sculpt him, excuse me, if I sculpt him and then decide, afterwards, he comes apart and not quite survive the mold making process, then I can simply melt him down and reuse the clay, providing I don't get a bunch of these, whatever this is, strings in it.
So in the past few minutes there, we had Smart Gamer Network and Malice both follow.
Super, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I really do thank you. Thank you.
And I have to assume this is a bot in the channel advertising, but we'll see. Maybe it's a real person. William XKB.
Okay.
Looks like the sort of thing that a bot says. See, Poison Ivy Pika says that they've been to Cave Geek streams, and they find them very interesting. So that's cool.
Yeah, I like him. He's a nice guy. When the shows were going, in fact, the last show that we were at together was Canuga in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we had a lovely time there. That was this year, just before the lockdown commenced. Sorry, I spoke a bad word for this show.
Let's see.
But I'm telling you, this is a lot of fun too. I mean, this is like, oh my goodness, I'm learning so much about live broadcasting. I mean, we live in a remarkable age, really. I am continually blown away.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I dig it. It's just like, damn, this is really cool stuff to be involved with. I can only say that if this would have been available back in the 80s, I would have made it full-time artist a lot sooner.
Well, true. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's amazing how things flow, you know. Had to have the experiences you had, to learn the things you learned, to go through the times you did, to get to the point where you're making this stuff.
Yeah, early on I decided that I wanted to do book illustrations. But as it turns out, I'm much happier. Much happier. I'm much more proficient at doing sculpture. So I'm pretty pleased with where I'm at.
Yeah, Canadian Wolverine saying, well, you used to have to take classes to watch others build things.
Yeah, that's the truth. I did learn a lot by going to the conventions and watching, you know, artists would have a panel. And back when I first started, people like James Gurney and Michael Wayland, Bob Eagleton, Don Mates, my all-time favorite. They would go to the shows, and this was back in the heyday of you know, really good, strong sales for book covers and that type of thing. And they never hesitated on sharing their knowledge. I remember taking a class with Bob Eagleton down in Texas for one of the shows. Now, if you're going to ask me what show it was, I do not remember. But I do remember that moment when, you know, he was having a live, yeah. When we were there, and we had a figure drawing class, and that was just, you know, it was just a lot of fun.
Nice.
Can you see the scales?
Yeah, absolutely. Just coming right along. Yeah, this kind of meticulous detail is what you're known for.
Yes. And I suppose there'd be all kinds of different ways you could do this. You could probably try to take a tool and mash in on the clay, but I don't think you're going to get a clean edge like you do with just putting the clay onto it. This way you can come back and you can kind of pet the clay a little bit, and it smooths out and fills in and looks natural. And we'll go over this again with some mineral spirits. I think most of the time, though, they recommend lighter fluid, maybe. Like, I don't think I have any more lighter fluid, so it's mineral spirits it is.
What does that do?
It smooths it. It just kind of melts the clay just enough to get rid of the line work, you know, the tool work. or the fingerprints. I mean, as I'm clamping down on this, I can see really fine ridged fingerprints appearing on his horn, and even I have to work it with something, you know. I mean, it can't just can't be free there. But
sure, yeah. Let's see. We got some chat going on here. Poison Ivy Pika says the scales are looking amazing.
Thank you.
And Canadian Wolverine says, I feel like this guy, and there's a picture of Bob Ross, was one of the original sharers of building art.
Yes. Yeah, and I've watched a lot of Bob Ross. I wish I could have met him in person. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. Poison Ivy Pika says, Kodo is looking muscular and built. What is he benching these days? Just kidding. But it's coming along very, very nice.
Yeah, we'll have to beef him out just a little bit more here. And a little bit more stomach, I think.
Thanks for the follow, Mommy Mills. Appreciate it. Gets us up to 31.
Awesome. We're getting there.
Just closing in on that 50.
19 to go. This is what we're going to give away. Help me out.
Yeah, so what were you thinking with the horns? You going to leave them like they are right now, or are you going to try to match them more towards that dragon that we were looking at before?
I will put some texture in it. That dragon texture looks kind of interesting to me. So I will keep working at that. But probably have to make that decision after I get the scales all on here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because when we were talking to Clint, the player of Kodo, he was talking about how the inspiration for his character design was kind of a mix between the two lightning type of dragons in Dungeons & Dragons. So in particular, he's looking at this blue dragon that I'm showing you right now. And it has this very peculiar type of horn on its face. And when we were looking at the other image of it, which looks a little something like, not that one, that one. It wasn't as apparent. Actually, I think we had a different picture than that even. But anyway, we had a different image and we weren't really making out what the detail was. And from the original concept art here, it looks straight on, so it's kind of hard to make out. Let's see. Plague State's doing some more work putting us out there, so thank you very much. Let's see, Canadian Wolverine, hope he gives it away to someone close to him. Don't want the shipping to cost too much for whoever. Well, that's part of it. Oh, cool, Canadian Wolverine, he came from J Brew's Discord. Thanks to Gladius posting over there. Thank you.
Yeah, even if it's Canada, I don't know where you're all from, but I assume some of you are from Canada. That's okay. We'll get it to you.
Mm-hmm. We'll find some way to smuggle it across the border.
I just shipped a vent dragon to Canada. That was quite a pretty penny there.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that border crossing that's so expensive, but...
Well, I had somebody else on Facebook who wanted to that lived in England, UK, and man, it was going to cost a small fortune to get stuff over there. And no matter what I did, I mean, I could, went out to talk with FedEx salespeople. Still, it's just what it is, I guess. But interestingly enough, if it comes from them over here, she was saying that she could get it for about the cost of postage here in the United States. So
interesting.
Just mere pennies on the dollar. I have no idea why.
Well, I guess if they're willing to hop on a plane and spend the money for that. Yeah, there's got to be a better way of doing it. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll have to keep looking and see if we can find some way to make it cheaper. Because this day and age, shipping is the only option. Yeah, with Poison Ivy, Pika, and Canadian Wolverine talking here. Yeah, sharing and posting stuff around, obviously getting in front of different audiences is really valuable. So getting us out there, making sure everyone can at least know that a channel exists. So for those of you guys posting stuff, much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, Canadian Wolverine saying, these days the border is closed mostly. 14-day quarantine for the people, fewer people working, so stuff is moving slower for the real kicker. People who ship through your postal service get charged less in duty fees and surcharges. But those that use the delivery services, well, they charge way more than they should. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for a 4-pound box, 16 by 12 by 8 was $70.
Woo! Goodness. Blake State says he's shared our link to 32 different Discords. Woo!
Hey, thank you very much.
Wowzer.
I appreciate it. Well, we may not reach 50 today, but we will reach 50, so,
At some point, yeah. If we don't get it this week, definitely come back next week and have a good chance of winning it.
We will give it away. And then as time goes on, once we reach the 50 mark and we get this contest out of the way, we'll have some other things that we'll give away as well for different causes.
So can you turn the model to the left? Yeah, there we go.
How is he looking?
Looks pretty cool. Huh, nice.
All right, I think I will try to get some of those horns down on the bottom shaped up and inset. Let's see, when do I need to do that? No, I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with putting some scale on that too. And what have we got there? Okay, same type of... Man, it's a blistery, cold old day for May, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it sure is. It was like threatening to snow. Instead it was raining and windy outside.
And you can probably hear the wind.
If not that, you could probably hear our stomachs growling.
Yeah. I'm hungry. Well, there went a gust of wind.
Yeah, I'm curious how much of that's getting picked up by the mic.
You can hear it blowing the house. We are in my studio, a bedroom that we've converted, that I use for my studio. I work from home. I'm a full-time artist. We travel to the shows to sell. Almost all of the income was from shows, and now that it's changed a bit, we are having the opportunity to do things like this, which don't pay as well, but are extremely enjoyable. I mean, I'm having a blast with you folk.
Yeah, it's good. Harryhausen talking about before all this stuff with COVID, delivery drivers would just run up, ring the doorbell, and run away after leaving a packing slip. And I'm pretty positive that is they train for that like ninjas, like I posted in here. Like there is no way that is anything other than a trained behavior of make sure nobody sees you. Leave that post and run as fast as possible. Because I've literally been staring out a window waiting for them, seen them getting ready to park, ran down to the door, already a slip there, and nobody out front.
Yep.
And it only took me like 2 or 3 seconds to get there. So like, I don't understand how it's possible, but they have tricks. They have lots of tricks.
Somebody did a parody where they were showing how the different delivery services deliver your package, and some of them, they were just running up to the door and throwing it, and it would smack into the door.
Let's see. We had a question from Plague State. He's wondering if this will alter how you do your bench. I'm assuming he means like your display at a convention post-COVID when cons open up.
Yeah, it might. I have been thinking about it. I had always allowed folk to come up to the display and pick up whatever they wanted to pick up and examine, but I think that's going to have to change, and we can't allow people touching it and picking it up. I'd love to, but I feel like that's a bad way to spread things. So that's going to have to change. And the number of folk that wanted to shake my hand, that's also out. So...
Well, maybe what we do is if they want to touch something, maybe they have to sanitize their hands.
Yeah, that might be the thing that
then
we
they
have
can
to
pick
do.
it up and move it around and then, go from there.
There were always... I guess I'll be careful with what I say here, because there were always kids coming up and parents not minding what their kids were doing. And I tell you what, sometimes. I had one kid who was swinging a pop bottle, and it wasn't opened yet. He waited until he got over the top of my prints. And then, because he'd been swinging the pop bottle, it was all charged up, and he proceeded to open, and it spewed all over my prints.
Yikes. Yep, that's a rough one.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you just... I've thought about, maybe some kind of a shield or something. I don't know. I'm. Here's the thing. I'm getting up in age. I have a son that's 38.
Nope.
37.
Yep. There
Sorry.
you go.
I aged him. I have a son that's 37, and that should tell you that I'm getting up in age. And I also have diabetes, and I'm a little chunkier than I should be. So all of those things make me part of that crowd, that is particularly vulnerable.
Yep, so we'll have to be pretty careful. But, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing as things kind of come back online over time. I mean, I'm sure everyone's going to have different practices and, change the way policies are done and all that.
Yeah.
Like, conventions in general are just going to be a different beast.
Yeah, I have to agree.
I mean, you think about the, when we were at this most recent con, C2E2, getting into the vending room for Gen Con, last year.
Mm-hmm.
You look at that crush of people, it was just like packed.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
And you're not talking a few, you're talking thousands.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there was obviously already con crud, like people not sleeping, not washing up, everyone coming from different parts of the country or internationally, and it's a miracle getting out of convention without getting sick.
A lot of times it did happen. I've been very fortunate that I can count on my one hand how many times I ended up getting Concred, but you know.
Yeah, we got another follow from Malazara.
Malazara.
From
Welcome.
Malazara. Something like that.
Okay.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Yeah. See, Poison Ivy Pika says, maybe one of these days when COVID is over and if you aren't so busy at art conventions, maybe do a few more up in Minnesota. They'd love your work here, especially for art weekends during the summer where people display art with a table on the curb. It's neat.
Oh yeah, I love Minnesota.
Yeah, you do a lot of conventions up in Minnesota.
Yes, I do.
Now, which ones do you go to these days? Or, well, not these days, but before?
Convergence was my very favorite. And the last year was they moved it to the Hyatt downtown in Minneapolis, and I loved it. I just had a super good time.
Let's see, Animal G 21 just followed as well. So
thank you. What are we up to?
We're up to 32.
Ooh.
Animal G's been here since before we even went live, so he just realized he wasn't following. Plague State's laughing that our closed captioning apparently it wrote something pretty funny. Apparently, instead of saying concrud, it spelled it conch red butt.
I love that. Conch red butt.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's great.
It has some real gems every once in a while. I mean, it's pretty accurate for the most part, but every once in a while, something ridiculous pops out. Oh man, it's funny. Yeah, it was good for everyone. You know, some people it actually is helpful, you know, so they can follow along, and for other people it's just funny.
And that's how World War III started. The war with the machines.
You laughed at me when I said conch red butt. Now it's to blows. Plague State says conch red butt needs to be a legit disease and fit that now.
I believe that's really COVID's other name.
Man, that's a symptom I don't want to have.
Yeah, kidding. No, kidding. Oh, man. Oh.
Oh, boy.
All right, what do you think of that? What do you think? You know, I think he's looking pretty good. Let me get him a little bit closer.
Okay.
Is that good?
Take a look over here at the screen. You can see where he's at.
Oh, yeah, I see.
And then realize it's all mirrored, so it'll be all screwy. But
how's that?
it's pretty kick-ass, stuff like that.
He's a little redder than... I mean, this stuff has a red tint to it, but it's a little redder on screen than it actually is. Even, by the way, you can get this in gray. I don't think gray was available when I was ordering it, but you can get it in gray. And I think that would be a help.
Yeah, they're saying neat. Looks great. Looks like a Kodo to me. Pretty awesome.
We'll go until... I think we'll go until 5.
Yep.
And so I'm just going to proceed on. And you guys did conclude that you wanted to see everything, so I'll put him aside until next week. We'll talk this week and see if we want to do a midweek sculpt show, and maybe we do.
Got a couple more statements here. So Poison Ivy Pika says, have you ever been to Duluth, Minnesota or Grand Rapids, Minnesota? They are artsy towns as well, and help out people who love to sell art. She's from Grand Rapids, birthplace of Judy Garland. We even had a Wizard of Days, so even days like that, we can display some of his work. That would be neat.
Oh, no, I haven't. It is quite a hike up there from Indianapolis, and then when I go, I have to go with a van, and you can't ship this stuff, so
Yeah.
it's quite a load of art that comes with me. But I do like traveling, and I do like going to different shows. We did 25 shows last year.
Yeah, that's a busy schedule. Plus all the ones you shipped out to.
Yeah, and then plus all the ones we shipped out to. Some of you don't know, or maybe not be aware, that science fiction shows have been around for, oh man, way back into the 70s, and they were not like the big shows that you see, and still not like the big shows that you see today, like Gen Con and some of those. They were smaller shows with maybe a couple thousand people, maybe sometimes even smaller than that, like 300 or 400 people. Mm-hmm. These shows still are around in some degree or another. You have, there's like in Chicago, there's WindyCon and Capricon, and forgive me if I miss one, but these are little shows that I love doing. You get a chance to interact with the artist guest of honor. You get a chance to interact with the writer guest of honor, gaming guest of honor. They're great venues, and I don't want them to go away. But a lot of them have at their core a dealer's room and an art show. And the art show is really unique in that they'll allow mail-in art, and then the person that's running the show gets the art, sets it up for you, puts it on display, and sells over the weekend. And then whatever they sell of your art, they take a commission on, and usually like 10%, and it's like ridiculously low fees, and ship back the remainder of your art to you. So I was doing that to a great degree all over the United States. And then
just got another follow from Cinder345. Thank you very much. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
Didn't mean to cut you off in your story there, but we do have a couple other questions that were in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the first one was from Plague State. They wanted to know, you were talking about the clay color being a little reddish there. Does the color of the clay actually matter when you paint it?
No, well, I'm not going to paint the clay. This is not the type of clay that you would end up painting. This is the type of clay that you would sculpt with, and then once it's done, make a silicone mold and cast in resin at that point. And then that's what you're going to paint. The reason why the color matters at this point is that your eye, let's say that it was all black. If you were trying to sculpt in all black, you couldn't see the difference in shapes. It would be harder to see and more difficult to sculpt, therefore.
That's a good point.
A medium gray allows you to see high points and low points into the shadows a lot more efficiently than this terracotta red does.
Are there any advantages to this color one?
Some say that they see the red better than the gray.
I mean, from my experience with the two, I would say I am one of those people.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I'm colorblind. You would think that would be a harder one, but I see the shadows really more prominently, I think, on this.
Yeah. Well, I think then that's one of the reasons why. Color blindness does affect it.
The other question we had floating around here, though now I think Hair Laser went away. She's lurking at the moment, so I'll bring her question up later. But she was asking how do you ship out to a convention but not attend it. So we'll get back to that when she comes back.
Okay.
But yeah, Malice says that our video quality looks good. I was commenting that I'm missing the functionalities of Streamlabs because it would ordinarily like indicate when people are following or whatever they're doing. Apparently Air Laser's listening still, just not able to look at the moment. So if you want to answer that question.
Yeah.
So again, the question was, how do you ship out to a convention but not attend?
I usually ship 20 pieces. Some of it, 5 of the pieces will be prints. Then most of it is small work, like Smidge, which we're going to give away. Let's see.
Mm-hmm. It's a good spot.
As soon as we get 50 followers. I would ship out these things, and they're just wrapped up in a box, and away we go. They have forms that you have to fill out, usually called control sheets and bid sheets. And back in the day, not so much now, but back in the day when there wasn't any internet, back in my day, before the invention of the wheel, you would have these auctions at the shows. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun, and mail-in artists were also contributing to that.
Yeah. So Air Laser's follow-up question is, but who sells it at the con? It's in a different structure than what you're expecting. So like the other conventions, when you're in the dealer room where it's the vendor sitting behind their booth and selling directly to you, a lot of times these art shows just have these little slips on it, and people come up and they put their name on it, say what their bid is for the item, and at the predetermined time, whoever has the best bid or whatever ends up buying the object.
Yeah,
it's all handled by the art room.
I should say too that these conventions are fan run. Mm-hmm. They're not commercial. So somebody will be assigned to be what they call an art director for that gallery, and some will be volunteers to help the art director, and all fan run. They're not there as an official business. Some later became a business, and became big business, and got their training in these small conventions. But what a great service. I mean, mm-hmm. Good grief. I mean, I'm continually blown away by the whole concept. I very much like sending to these conventions and supporting them. Now, Convergence is in Minneapolis is slightly larger. I mean, it's like 6,000 people, I think. Mm-hmm. And they're growing. But if you get it too big, then you lose the intimacy. So they continually, they continually monitor, I don't think the goal is to grow it to a huge crowd. And if somebody's from Minneapolis and knows Convergence and says, "Good grief, David, you did shut up." I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn here.
Let's see, Animal G apparently has another account called Other Animal G, so he just followed as well.
Well, thank you very much. That counts.
That'll inflate our numbers up there. We're up to 35. And let's see, Plague State says that you practically invented the internet in our hometown.
Yeah, well, Plague State is referring to back in Paris, Illinois. I hope I didn't give away something.
Well, it's out there now.
It's out there now, yeah. Anyway, in Little Paris, Illinois, I got very interested in the internet very early on. This was back in 94, 95. Started reading on it. And, I had to experience things like America Online.
Yeah. All those little CDs that came in the mail constantly.
With my 1200 baud modem.
Whew. Boy, I remember those days.
But something inspired me. I was running a print shop at the time, and my own business, and I had friends who regularly dropped in. We'd discuss different avenues of different opportunities, how you do. And then one thing led to another, and we opened up One Choice Internet Service. And we did that for 5 years.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
We did it. Here's how dumb I was. I knew I wanted a T1, which is 24 phone lines, or at least that's how you counted it at that time. And I thought, we get the thing installed, and I buy a network access server, a Cisco network access server, and the guy comes to install the T1, and it's just a single cord, and I'm going like, how does this all, what, how, what, and I was expecting like 24 little cords that you plug into the network accessor, which was not the case.
Like Steve says, see, invented the internet, wasn't kidding. To go along with this sort of journey back, Poison Ivy Pika wants to know how you started as an artist. She likes hearing the backstories.
Okay, well, I started sculpting when I was very young, and drawing, and did a lot of drawings in school, and got in trouble for drawings. I grew up in a very strict religious environment, and the things that when I was in the 8th grade, they give us achievement score, a test, and my achievement test at the end of my 8th grade year showed that I had a 3rd grade reading level. I had been going to a religious school, and that summer I went to stay with my cousin, and for the very first time I came across a comic book, and man, this was like set my mind on fire. And I started out with just reading, just looking at the pictures.
Do you remember what comic it was?
Because it was a futuristic caveman guy, Kazan or something like that. Help me out. My memory is faulty now, but anyway, I started reading that and the Swamp Thing, and I began reading more. My cousin and I would go and we'd work farms, bale hay all day long, and then the guy would give us a buck at the end of the day, and we would run off to the comic book at that point, comic book store. And then I got, I wanted, it was also the time period where I had seen for the very first time Star Trek. And Star Trek was a very attractive show because of the bright colored costumes. And I went back to the comic book store and said, hey, do you have some space comics? Something about space. Because this was 1969 and 1970. And that was the moon landing and all the rest of it. So the guy said, well, no, we don't have any comic books about space, but let me show you a book that I think you might like. And it was Perry Roden, which was done in German and translated and put into print here in the States by Forrest.
I don't think that's his name.
Forrest Whitaker, I think.
It's an actor.
No, it's not that.
While you're thinking of that, Malice of Plague wants to say that he's really loving how the face is turning out.
Well, thank you very much.
He's excited to see how the armor turns out.
It'll turn out much the same way. Done in the same fashion, I should say.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, you got into art via the comics and sci-fi?
Yeah, I started drawing them. I was living them. I read for the first time in my life, I read Perry Roden, which was not an easy read because, it was translated and it was rough. But I got through it, and then I got through another book and another book. Went back to school in my freshman year in high school, took another achievement test. This time my reading level had jumped to freshman in college.
Nice.
Over one summer. And the teacher principal thought I had cheated. So I got called to his office and asked to take the test again in front of him. Nothing changed. My reading level was still way up.
So when you were first starting with your art, though, what was besides some sketches here and there, what were you doing post reading and checking out comics and looking at sci-fi? What were the art pieces like?
Oh, all pencil sketches, and a lot of comic sketches. I mean, man, I wish I'd kept them. I had volumes, of drawings of dealing with cars and comic books and women, and because of my subject matter dealing in comic books, that put me in jeopardy with the religious folk, and they asked me to burn all of my comic books, and they had a heart-to-heart with all concerned, and so yeah,
so it wasn't the most encouraging environment to do art, I guess, but obviously you had some encouragement from the family, right?
My mom was worried about me because she was listening to the individuals telling her, that I was being corrupted. But she was a very, very good woman, and I cannot tell you how much I loved her. Hey, didn't expect that to be a downer. Last year I lost her, and I'm really kind of glad that she's not around for this crazy ride we're on right now. She would have worried.
Poison Ivy Pika says, "Thank you for sharing, but no matter what your art from what I see is amazing. Keep up the amazing work."
Yeah, it wasn't until much later in the 80s that I met Jenny Roller. And I met them both, Jenny Roller and her husband, Richard. They came over one night because I'd started a graphic design shop, print shop, and I was doing everything off of desktop publishing with the Macintosh computer, and I put that into the paper. I don't know why I did. It was part of the ad, and so they had found it and wanted to come over to our house one night, and that's how I met them. And then one thing led to another because Jenny looked around and she saw all my paintings and stuff on the wall, and she said, you need to. Sorry, I was talking to Jeff. You need to.
The audience there. I'm part of the audience.
Yeah, you need to go with me to the shows, and so that's how I started. And then she was a sculptor, and I hadn't sculpted a whole lot at that point, and it just fascinated me. One thing led to another, and I just kept at it. So that's how. That's kind of a story of it. Kind of convoluted, and
we got there eventually.
Hey, comic books rescued me. It gave me an education that later paid off.
Yeah, it turns out.
It paid off in the sense that comic books led me to science fiction and science, and I became a voracious reader, and I've been a lifelong learner ever since. It's just, it taught me the value of teaching yourself. And much of it I had to. I had to teach myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
How's it looking, guys?
I think it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, let me get
That's nice.
Let me get a little closer. Okay.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's coming along really well.
So there's a lot of value with this. It's a tedious job putting on the little balls of clay here and mashing them down. But man, it produces really great results.
Mm-hmm. You see, Malice says, loving it. I like the texture. Poison Ivy Pika says it's looking very good. Kodo, or Clint, is going to love it. I think he'll be very impressed.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. I would guess. Yeah, he was really excited about this. He's been talking a lot about it.
And Kodo, he's taking a little bit of a trip out somewhere, isn't he?
Yeah, his work is going to be getting a lot more involved in the next couple weeks, so he's going to be away for a while. But, yeah. I'm sure he'll be watching these later on, or checking in. It's very cool.
Okay. I think what's our time?
It's 4:52, so we got another
good.
maybe 8 minutes.
Don't forget. Now we may not reach 50 today, but keep spreading the word for me. I would really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to give it away this guy.
Yeah, doing good. Yeah, keeping a nice lively chat. We got a good viewer count tonight, or today I should say. I'm so used to streaming at night. It's very rare for me to be up doing a stream this time of day. But, getting a pretty nice chunk of views too.
Well, I'm digging this a whole lot. I mean, man, oh man.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it is. And I'm discovering that it's kind of like, so normally I would just put on a piece of music or, maybe a story or something that I can listen to in the background. I like Audible. Have a big Audible library. And that I can listen to it while I'm working. But this is kind of like that, except that my mouth is moving.
Yeah.
I'm discovering that my hands are doing whatever they want to do, and when you take your mind off of what your hands are doing, that's when the results seem to pay off more.
Poison Ivy Pika says that she's glad that the Discord community could help out, and yeah, it's definitely flowing.
I'm just so impressed with how far tech has come.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you guys cannot believe. I mean, in my lifetime, good grief. And I've always been very techie oriented, as Jeff can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something new, I have to have it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And this is like, I kind of, floundered a little bit with computers and that type of thing. Nothing much had interested me for a while. And this, oh my goodness, this whole tech part of it, I'm flabbergasted at how it's all come together and how fun it is. I just think it's nifty.
Now, you were mentioning earlier that, taking your mind off of the work produces better results. It's kind of like, I can't remember what the origin of this is, but like they talk about how you build up muscle memory, and then, when you're learning, you become very focused, and to get more result, you have to focus even harder. But at a certain point of mastery, it is as if the work is being done by itself.
Yeah.
Is that what you're experiencing?
Yes, that's a good way of phrasing it. And therefore, it becomes a good way. It's kind of like, I think there are some similarities to meditation. You kind of get lost in it, and time goes away. And that's when it really becomes fun. I mean, this is like, good grief, this is fun. I like the way he's looking, I'll go through phases. I'll go through the phase like, damn, that looks really cool. And then, damn, I wish I'd done that. And then, damn, I'm going to have to change it.
Sure, yeah.
But I do, the best parts are when, you do it and you don't think about it and it turns out right. And then you just sit back and go, wow, okay.
Hey, we just got another follow. It puts us at 36 from Dungeon Master Painter, so thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm having a blast. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Thank you for coming to my little sculpting demo show.
They say hello. Apparently they're a friend of Pika's, so cool. Obviously an artist by the name, sounds like.
Yeah.
So welcome to the chat, and yeah, it's awesome. What kind of art do you do? I mean, I know I've seen some examples, but for the rest of the chat here. Yeah, I can't believe we're up to 36 follows already. I came quick. Yeah, so Dungeon Master Painter paints miniatures.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Which that's tough. I did that for a little bit, and there's a lot to learn, and it just physically is challenging, when it's that small.
Do you know Shoshi?
I mean, obviously I do, but a lot of people in our chat probably are aware of Shosh. She does miniature painting. She has a channel, and she does it, I think, professionally at this point.
I believe that's my understanding, anyway.
Yeah, she's like pretty much a master at it. It's amazing.
And she has a show somewhere on Twitch.
Yeah, Shoshi's Miniatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dungeon Master Painter. Definitely, if you join up on some of the Discords or things like that, we may even make a Discord for this. I don't know. But definitely network in there. Just talking to people. It'd be really a nice connection for artists to be able to kind of support one another with these streams, maybe make a network out of it. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
At least do some like hosting or something, which, by the way, looks like Dungeon Master Painter is hosting us, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Wow.
And Not Your Average Fish has just followed us. Thank you for that.
I like that name.
Yeah, much appreciated. Oh, okay, so Dungeon Painter's doing a giveaway as well on the channel. Awesome. It's fantastic. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Dungeon Master Painter is in our Discord as well, but it's nice to give a shout out and talking about it and stuff in the video because it'll be on YouTube later. And obviously there are going to be other people who are going to view this besides just the live audience, so.
yeah, if you haven't done so already, you can also go out and subscribe to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel has been growing quite a bit. I think we have 7,070 people, I think.
Yeah, something like that. See if I can pull up the link for you.
I have a couple of videos up there. More are coming all the time. Especially one I'm going to be really happy to release soon. And that is, I took a step outside of my comfort area and my normal wheelhouse of dealing with clay and resin and that type of thing. And what I did is I produced a... I wanted to do Arya's spear, staff weapon, that she commissions Gendry in Season 8, Episode 1 of Game of Thrones. And so I did this out of... I've been watching Punish Props and... Punish Props and Evil Ted Smith and some of the cosplayers, other cosplayers, and I got really inspired to do some work like that. And I just had a blast. So I'm going to release that video soon of the making of Arya's commissioned staff weapon, dragon glass staff weapon. It's a little fantasy weapon cosplay.
Yeah, that's cool. So we have actually hit our time. So
okay,
we do our plugs here. So obviously we were just talking about a few of them. You want to make sure that you're reaching out and connecting up. So he's got a Facebook that he's associated with, where a lot of people are. I just linked the YouTube channel for you guys in the chat. And we also want to make sure that you are aware of where you can find some of his artwork if you would like to make purchases. And so here's his web store again. DavidLeePancake.com.
I also have an Amazon affiliates link on that website as well. So if you will want to purchase some of this clay, monster clay, use that link and it'll take you over to Amazon and you can get some of this clay for, I think, 5 pounds of it for $30. It's a really great, and it's reusable.
Well, that's cool.
So really good bargain.
And we've also linked his Patreon account into the chat there for you all. So it's a random string of numbers there, so it's a little hard to shout out in words. But if you go there, you can find all kinds of really interesting discounts, access to these behind-the-scenes videos that come out way earlier for you. You get access to certain items that are exclusive to only patrons. Like I said, there's discounts on there. There's better ways of purchasing some of the bigger products. So it's a good one for you. So if you'd like to support and help him out, keep things moving, keep the art coming, that's how you do it. And so we're looking to do this weekly. So I assume we'll be here same bat time, same bat channel. So if you want to come back here next Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah,
3 p.m. Eastern time. We will continue on with Koto the Paladin and see how far we get. I'm pretty pleased today we got some of that face done. I may do just a little bit during the week, but not enough that's going to make you feel like that you missed something. But we'll continue to do it, and we'll continue. Maybe next weekend we can get some armor on him. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so we'll keep these going. Like I said before, I'll try to throw these up onto his YouTube channel, which we'll put that link out there again just in case. So for now, it's not up there, but it will be soon. And hopefully, if you missed the beginning of this, you can catch up.
Wow. Thank you for joining us. And when we reach 50 followers, so you can have, we didn't quite make it today, but we will be giving this guy away. So probably next weekend, spread the word. when we reach 50 followers, I am going to do a drawing of the people that are inside the chat room at that time, and I will be giving this guy away. Now, there's going to be some other giveaways as time goes on, but this is little Smidge, and he is seeking a home right now, and we hope that you will be the winner.
Nice. Dungeon Master Painter, we currently don't have a Discord for us as this art stuff here. But if you are interested in a Discord, I don't have the link handy with me right now, but the Tabletop to Keyboard Discord is the one I was mentioning before, and that's my channel along with the rest of the guys. A lot of the guys you've seen on here, we do weekly shows as well, and I believe you may already be on that Discord, so I think I've seen your name there.
I definitely am, so.
Yep, so definitely, if you're interested, go check it out. And if not, Poison Ivy says she's got the link for you there. Normally I'm at my computer, I can just link that right away, but I'm at a different computer right now, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so very much, everyone, for coming. Hope you enjoyed. And that will be us for this week, I guess.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you next week.
Fantastic. See you there.
Bye-bye.